Our next presentation is modeling the impact of effective malaria vaccination on child mortality, Ugandan children under 5 years old. Eva.
My name is Eva Akurut, and I'm a PhD scholar here at the African Center of Excellence in Bioinformatics and Data Intensive Sciences. So I'm going to talk about modeling the impact of effective malaria vaccination on child mortality in Ugandan children under 5 years old. So my team members were Titus Ora, Maureen Akoth, and Mulegeta Geremiu, and those are facilitators. Next slide, please. So in 2022, there were really an estimated 249 malaria cases globally, and this was an increase of 5 million cases compared to 2021. Uganda is known for being a high burden country with a high incidence, and in 2021, they contributed 5% of the global malaria burden. Vaccines are said to be a very effective way to reduce malaria deaths as well as disease morbidity. And we assume that with the malaria vaccination, this will actually be reduced. Uganda is set to roll out a malaria vaccination in October this year. Hopefully we'll see the effects then. So to guide deployment of interventions, including vaccines, the country Uganda has been stratified into three different strata. So we have the low burden areas, that is about 2.4% of the population. Then we have the urban cities making up 14.4%, and then the rest of the country is really the higher. So on our right, that is the map in 2D. Slide, please. So our work, we implementation of vaccination intervention under the World Health Organization target of reducing the mortality by 90%. The research question was that what vaccination coverage for malaria is needed to achieve a 90% reduction in mortality in Uganda. This is in line with the 2030 WHO mortality reduction strategy. So the agents are really children and adults. That's what we considered for a model, and assumptions we made were desperate constant. We varied the vaccine efficacy as well as the vaccine coverage. The next slide, please. So we use the STARSIM, but we extend the SIRS to the susceptible, vaccinated, infected, recoveries, and death. So as I already mentioned, we varied the vaccination rate as well as the coverage, and it's really an agent-based model. So for the coverage, we considered 20% coverage is at a vaccine efficacy of 40%, and then we went ahead and also simulated if we increase the coverage to 70% and then maintain the current efficacy at 70%, then if this was increased further to 90%. Next slide, please. So results, if you look at the global malaria incidence as well as they've decreased over time, and it was shown with the results. And on our right was basically just showing us the dynamics of transmission, whereby for every person recovered from malaria, they still become susceptible. And the vaccine is said to wane with time. The next slide, please. So I think this is a major slide. So we looked at the impact of vaccination strategies on malaria mortality, and if there was no vaccination, we found that the malaria deaths were really high. But if we vaccinated only 20% of the population, the vaccine efficacy of 0.4% will have a 50% reduction. If we increase the coverage further, we'll have a more reduction of about 12%, which is actually very big in terms of mortality due to malaria, child mortality. Then if we increase it further to 20%, there's really negligible difference in the reduction due to malaria mortality. Next slide, please. So our findings align with other studies that have shown that increasing coverage will avert mortality in children under 5, and that is shown in supported countries, as well as if you looked at literature, you find that actually this work aligns with that. And if we vaccinate at a vaccine coverage of 20% of the population with the efficacy of 70%, we'll have a 62 reduction in the child mortality. And this is towards the achieving the WHO targets. But the modeling results suggest that Ghana will not fully attain the target through vaccination efforts. So that means malaria interventions have to be considered. Next slide. So what are the limitations in our study? The analysis is limited by really the simplicity of the model, as well as the data that we needed to validate using other data. Then we did not include in our model the role of the mosquito vector, which we actually know is what transmits the malaria. Right. So the number of bites will impact on the incidence of malaria, which will directly affect the mortality. Then it exists regarding assumptions about the intervention effectiveness and coverage. Then further research and data needed to inform the implementation of the integrated malaria control strategies effectively. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, we believe that increasing malaria vaccine coverage as well as vaccine efficacy will reduce child mortality cases due to malaria. But because we cannot achieve the 90% target set by WHO, so a holistic approach is required, such as sleeping and mosquito nets, chemoprophylaxis, education, indoor residue spraying, among others. And so for future work, we intend to refine a model, including environmental factors, that seasonality affects malaria transmission. So that would be incorporated into a model, but of course this makes it a bit more complex. But we'll see on how to go about that. The next slide, please. Yes, thank you very much. Of course, to the IBM team.
Eva, thank you very much. That's wonderful. A wonderful presentation. I like your future work. So what you've suggested to do regards to looking at the impact of environment on your model results, and I think that can help in improving the results that you found. But my question is, has there been any similar study looking at the same thing that you're doing? If yes, are their results consistent with what you found, or is it something showing something different?
All right, very much. So, yes, there's been a similar study, and work aligns with that. So, what the study considered was all these other different interventions. And of course, they picked out other things from others. So we know that we're in the right direction. We have to consider these other factors that affect malaria's transmission.
Okay, thanks so much, Eva.